The envelope sat on Marcus Thornton's mahogany desk, like a ghost from another life. His assistant had placed it there without explanation, and now he stared at the childish handwriting with something close to disbelief. Marcus was 58 years old. He had built an empire from nothing. $300 million sat in various accounts bearing his name. But on this December evening, surrounded by the cold glass and steel of his corner office, he felt the weight of every year. The letter was simple, almost painfully so. Dear Santa, please send me a dad. Below the words was a crayon drawing, a small figure holding hands with a taller one. The little girl had drawn herself in red. The father figure was just an outline, empty. Marcus set the letter down and walked to the window. The city sprawled beneath him, a million lights beginning to glow in the winter dusk. He had climbed so high, and yet he stood here alone. His phone buzzed. Another dinner meeting canceled. Another evening of silence in his penthouse. He picked up the letter again and turned it over. There was a return address. Maple Street, the old neighborhood. The one he had left behind 30 years ago when he started his first company. Marcus sat back in his leather chair and closed his eyes. He thought of his own father, gone now for 10 years. A factory worker who never owned anything but gave everything. He opened his eyes and reached for his coat. The house on Maple Street was small, the kind of small that Marcus had forgotten existed. Paint peeling on the shutters. A chain-link fence that leaned slightly to one side. But the porch light was on, and through the window, he could see a Christmas tree. A modest one, the kind you buy at the grocery store. Marcus stood on the sidewalk for a long moment. What was he doing here? What could he possibly offer? But the letter was in his pocket, and something in those simple words had cracked something open inside him. He knocked. The woman who answered was younger than he expected, maybe 35. Dark circles under her eyes, but a kind face. Tired in the way that comes from working 2 jobs and raising a child alone. "Can I help you?" she asked. Marcus suddenly felt foolish. He pulled out the letter. "I think this belongs to your daughter," he said quietly. "It ended up on my desk. I own Thornton Industries downtown. The mail gets mixed up sometimes." The woman's face went pale. She took the letter and her hands trembled slightly. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Emma, she mailed this 3 weeks ago. I thought it went to the North Pole." "May I come in?" Marcus asked, just for a moment. Sarah, as she introduced herself, led him to a small living room. The furniture was old but clean. A little girl sat on the floor coloring. She looked up with wide brown eyes. "Emma," Sarah said gently, "this man brought back your letter to Santa." Emma stood slowly. She was maybe 7 years old, small for her age. She looked at Marcus with a mixture of hope and fear. "Are you Santa's helper?" she asked. Marcus knelt down, his expensive suit creasing on the worn carpet. He looked at this child and saw something he had forgotten existed. Pure honesty, pure need. "No," he said softly, "but I read your letter, and I wondered if maybe I could help." Emma glanced at her mother, then back at Marcus. "My daddy left when I was little," she said simply. "Mommy works really hard, but sometimes she cries at night, and I don't have anyone to teach me things, like how to ride a bike, or how to be brave." Marcus felt something crack wider in his chest. "I don't have any children," he said. "I worked very hard for many years. I built buildings and companies, but I forgot to build a family." Sarah started to speak, but Marcus held up a hand. "I'm not asking for anything," he said, "but maybe we could help each other. Maybe I could teach Emma to ride a bike. Maybe I could be someone she could talk to." The room went quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. "Why would you do that?" Sarah asked. Her voice was suspicious, protective. Marcus stood and looked at her directly. Because 30 years ago, I had a father who showed up every day. He worked until his hands bled. He never missed a school play. And when he died, I realized I had become everything he wasn't. Rich, successful, alone. He paused and looked at Emma. Your daughter asked Santa for something I need just as much as she does. A family, even if it's not the traditional kind. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She wiped them quickly and nodded. One bike lesson, she said. We'll see after that. That was 3 months ago. Now Marcus sat at his desk again, but the office felt different. On his computer screen was a video call. Emma was showing him a math problem. She was struggling with fractions. Remember what I told you? Marcus said patiently. Break it into pieces, one step at a time. Emma's face scrunched up in concentration. Then it cleared, understanding. Oh, she said, I get it now. Marcus smiled, a real smile, the kind that reaches eyes. That evening he would go to Maple Street. He would have dinner with Sarah and Emma. Simple food, meatloaf maybe, nothing fancy. And afterward, they would sit together and watch Emma's favorite movie. He had learned something profound. Money could build empires, but it took courage to build a family, even an unconventional one. Sarah had become a friend. She reminded him that struggle didn't mean failure, that doing your best was enough. Emma had become the daughter he never had. She reminded him how to wonder, how to laugh at simple things. And he had become what Emma needed, not a replacement for the father who left, but someone who showed up, who kept promises, who taught her that she mattered. The letter still sat in his desk drawer. He looked at it sometimes. Those simple words that had changed everything. Dear Santa, please send me a dad. Santa hadn't sent him. Fate had, or maybe just a random chaos of a mailroom. But sometimes the best gifts come from the most unexpected places. Marcus packed his briefcase and headed for the elevator. His penthouse would wait. Tonight, he had somewhere better to be. He had a family waiting.